there. So we'll see. If you see this, that means I slept on it and decided to put it out. So it's Thursday night. It's my last meal. And I've been thinking about the concept, and I kind of feel like even with my previous lap band surgery, I don't remember having the feeling of a last meal then. Um, but I also didn't go straight to clear liquids. I think that it was 3 weeks and it was protein shakes and that sort of thing. And maybe I just wasn't thinking that much about it. Or I don't know, maybe I really had a blowout meal and I just don't remember it. Which comes into why I'm not, having a last meal. I have a regular meal. I kind of feel like I've had a lifetime of last meals. I've, had the opportunity where I ate whatever I wanted and didn't care, and that has me in this position. So, I don't think I would enjoy having a last meal. And even if I did, just in this moment, clearly 9 years after my lap band, it wasn't a very memorable meal. All I remember is that I've gained a lot of weight back, not all of the weight from my heaviest before the lap band, but certainly a significant part of it. So a lot of people, I'm sort of have a lot of emotions. I'm obviously excited to be taking control again. I'm nervous that I don't want to fail again. I don't know, maybe there's not that many emotions. I don't want to be as frustrated as I was before. I want this to be a real, change for the rest of my life. I don't want to basically be a functioning bulimic like the lap band was for those first, couple of years, where the weight loss, and I shouldn't even say years, really the first year, where the weight loss was primarily because I wasn't eating correctly, and stuff would just, come up, and I couldn't eat for the rest of the day, and then with the lap band you have to slowly work back up to food. So I just wasn't eating, and that's why I was losing weight, and that wasn't something that was sustainable. So once I figured out how to eat with the lap band, the weight started coming back, and now it's to the point where there's restriction in a bite, but not necessarily restriction in what I can eat. And that's probably more of a psychological thing, that I'm clearly not stopping when I should. And it's been really interesting, learning about my habits, because, if someone were to look at my meals, they would say, you don't really eat that much. And it's true. For breakfast, I would, sometimes have like a shake. And then as I was able to eat food, I would have like maybe 2 hard-boiled eggs, or, one of those little cheese and nut trays, like Sargento. It's like 180 calories, just like nuts and cheese. And, that's not much. For lunch, I would have something in a smaller bowl. Like I wouldn't have a big salad or, an entree and a side. I would have, a small salad and maybe half of a normal sized entree, like a piece of chicken when I say entree. And I would use like territory meals that were around 300 calories a piece. So lunch wasn't the problem. And then for dinner, I would have, if I would get a Blue Apron meal, I would split them between, several days. So, maybe a meal for two for me would be 3 to 4, depending on what it is. If it was just a salad and a piece of fish, then usually just a meal for two, I could do 2 meals. So if those aren't the problem is something else. And, I was working in an office, there was always candy around. So, maybe between breakfast and lunch, I would go, every time I would pass the candy area, on my way to the bathroom, I might get one. So if you figure I go to the bathroom 3 times and get one of those little mini bars that are, 100 calories, that's 300 calories just between breakfast and lunch. After lunch, the same thing might happen. I grab 1 or 2, maybe even more if I'm being honest. And so that could be another 300 to 500 calories. And then dinner was normal. And then when the snacking would start. And now that I'm seeing the pattern that I'm snacking when I'm bored, when I'm tired, you know, I hate to say it, and it's obviously not true, but it's just a funny way to think of it. But Bravo has, you know, kept me fat. You know, the 9 o'clock show, whatever it is, like a Housewife or Southern Charm or, you know, something like that. I love the 9 p.m. shows. I would find myself snacking between like 9:30 and 10 because I wanted to stay up for the end of the show. And it was just a way to keep like my brain awake. And the other thing about it that I've noticed is as I've started researching other people's stories on YouTube, like Mini Me in Tennessee, also Hot Southern Mess, Dr. V, who does a ton of videos, and even unrelated to weight loss. Like I didn't even know like unboxing, which is like my new obsession, existed on YouTube. I did not know any of these things happened. Like I always thought going to YouTube videos was like a millennial thing. And I've found that I could just sit there, be watching videos all day, and my mind is a lot more engaged than watching Bravo. Now, obviously, I'm going to keep watching Bravo because I just like the shows and it's a way to turn off. But, you know, I need to not turn off my mind and go to something else. You know, it's almost like I was trying to stimulate other senses because my brain wasn't being stimulated, and just looking for something else to do. You know, as a multitasker, I wasn't engaging everything, and, you know, was going to food to keep me entertained. Because when people say that they're an emotional eater, I've never felt like I was an emotional eater. Like when I'm sad, I don't necessarily want to eat. It's more of like boredom, just being by myself, you know, having food available, which is the case when I was working in an office. So I'm feeling really hopeful this time around because I can see my eating patterns. You know, I'm not lying to myself. And I know, you know, those calories that build up in between meals. I mean, those, in the cases of like the candy at work, I mean, both of those snacks were maybe more caloric than my actual meals. And all of that adds up. I mean, if you're having, you know, 400 calorie meals a day, you know, that's 2,400 calories. And this is the first time I'm doing the math in my head. And, you know, I can definitely see how that happens. But when you figure out your meals and you think, okay, I'm going to do 3 500 calorie meals a day, that's 1,500. If you stick to that, then, you know, you can lose, depending on your body weight, you know, 1 to 2 pounds a week. And that wasn't happening for me. And so I was just thinking about my meals and not about everything else in between. So I'm really excited to go with my doctor's program, cut out the snacking, you know, have the small meals. Obviously, once I get through the different phases of like liquid food, soft food, mushy food, whatever the different phases are. And thank you for coming on this journey for me. I'm really excited. I'm nervous. And let me know in your comments if you've had weight loss surgery, what you've learned throughout the process. Because I'd really love for you to come on this journey with me. And I want to support you and just see what we can accomplish together. Thanks.